you know, just like dork out.
I mean, isn't that what's different from normal?
Right, that's pretty much what we do every day. You fired up.
I'm actually like really, thank you for staying home, Hawk, because we don't need to get sick. We hope you get better soon because I am a big fan of that. If you're sick, don't come in.
No, please don't. He almost got us sick the other day. He powered through.
He did.
We will do well without him today, but you know who did well on Saturday? A lot of teams that shook up the playoff picture, and now we know some things.
We know some things. We know
Some
that the
clinching
Ravens,
scenarios.
great. Fantastic. They can clinch today with a win, home field advantage. That's going to be pretty important. Patriots, first round bye. That also means at least one home game.
That's not happening. I don't think the Chiefs are losing that game. But we do know the Cowboys, they can win the NFC East with a win. The Eagles will not win the NFC East if they happen to win at home. And then the Packers can clinch the NFC North on Monday night. What are we looking at in that game?
I'm looking for on Monday night.
No, throughout
this
the
week.
day.
Okay,
Throughout the
so
week.
for me, NFC East. Let's figure this out. I think that it's going to be interesting to see with Dak. We've seen, okay, he's been injured. So is that injury really going to impact the game? Yes or no? We've kind of heard conflicting reports. Jane Slater did a great job of saying, hey, he was throwing yesterday, and she expects him to be fully fine. I believe what Jane says. If Dak Prescott is fully fine, that changes the complexion of this game. Both teams actually rely on the run game a ton. The Eagles, they are actually in top 10 in terms of play selection and run. Kind of sneaky considering we've seen so many injuries to their running backs. So let's just, can we sort this out already?
It would be weird if you didn't believe what Jane said. Like, I'd be like,
no, but I mean,
like,
listen, they could be
No.
They're always going to say before games, he's great. Everything's 100%. We love all of our players.
And he
They're
made his
wonderful.
throws last week, so I'm looking forward to that game. I'm also looking forward to the Ravens and the Browns. The Ravens are the rare team that make blowouts fun. Like, I can watch this team play anyone, and this might be a blowout, but I want to see, can they clinch home field advantage, first of all? I mean, that is like a playoff win, and you can sit Lamar. And more importantly, I think they want to put on a show to really close that case and win the MVP for Lamar Jackson. That means a lot to players and the teams around them that they say, let's send him out in style. Let's make sure he leads the league in touchdowns, even if he sits out next week.
Gosh, we're such a good team because that's a really good tease for later.
All right.
Anyways, so moving on, I wanted to take a look over in New Jersey. Last home game for the Jets on the season. There's Sam Darnold. They're hosting the Steelers. The Steelers, they have the 6th seed in the AFC. There's a lot of complicated things that are going on, but the Steelers are pretty in control of their own destiny when it comes to this, so it actually doesn't even matter what the Titans do today. Steelers, 6th seed, they just need to get this win. So with more on that, Tom Pelissero, he's actually on the field for us.
Steelers coach Mike Tomlin says he anticipates Devlin Hodges responding to the challenge after the rookie quarterback threw 4 interceptions in last week's loss to Buffalo. Of course, Tomlin also gave Mason Rudolph a chance to rebound after his 4-interception game in Cleveland last month and then benched Rudolph the following week. I'm told Rudolph was heavily involved in game planning this week. He's continued to get reps even after he lost the job, and there is a sense it's a short leash on Hodges if his struggles continue today against the Steelers' old friend Le'Veon Bell and the Jets. One boost for this Pittsburgh offense, wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster is expected to play for the first time since November 14th. Though Juju says his knee is not 100%, he'll be playing through some pain. Here's Tiffany Blackman in Nashville.
Thanks, Tom. Drew Brees set a few more records on Monday night, and today it could be Michael Thomas's turn. He's 11 catches away from setting the NFL record for most catches in a season. 11 sounds like a lot in a game, but Thomas has already done it 5 times this season. And his former teammate, Titan safety Kenny Vaccaro, he said, I've never met somebody as determined as Michael Thomas. And when I spoke with fellow Titan safety Kevin Byard about how to defend Thomas at the line of scrimmage, well, Byard told me people will say you have to get up in his face, but that's easier said than done. He said he's really strong in his routes and has really good release off the line of scrimmage. Back to you.
Look, you're going to play Michael Thomas in fantasy. There's absolutely no question about that. Will he break the record? Maybe this week, maybe next week. But the bigger news in this one, Derrick Henry, he's not playing for the Titans. This could be fantasy championship implications for you. You need to pivot somewhere else. That's my fantasy, please just go get someone else, maybe DeAndre Washington. But Greg, as far as this game between the Saints and the Titans, what are you looking for?
I want to see if Deion Lewis can pick up the slack. I mean, that's the first thing that...
Please note, I did not say to pick up Deion
Yeah,
Lewis.
I noticed that. We talked about it before the game. He hasn't done much in Tennessee. And I've wondered why he doesn't have the same explosion that I think he had for most of New England, or even last year in Tennessee. But recently, if you watch their Titans games, I thought he had a little bit of juice last week. He's going to get the ball a lot. Yeah, maybe don't play him in your fantasy championship, but it wouldn't surprise me if he gets 6 or 7 catches out of the backfield. So if you're playing PPR and you're desperate, I don't know, Dion Lewis has made some big-time plays in big-time moments, and I think you have to be a little balanced when you play the Saints. You can't just back up and throw the ball all the time.
Oh, absolutely not. I do think that bodes well for their tight end, so Jonnu Smith could be a good pick there. But the Saints are favored by 3 points in this matchup. Who do you have?
I have the Saints winning.
By more than 3?
I don't. I don't know what to feel in this game, so when I do the
what
Cynthia thing. You know what I mean? Like the model a lot of times, when it's like doesn't really want to make like a big-time choice. It picks one team to win, but the other team to keep it close. And this to me is a coin flip. Even without Derrick Henry, and I know they don't have much to play for this week in terms of the playoff, I think they're just a good team, and it's going to be tough for the Saints.
So between the secondary being banged up and Derrick Henry being out and not having anything to play for necessarily, my model shifted from a 2-point win to a 4-point win. Saints 27, Titans 23. By the way, you know who Hawk had? He had the Saints too.
Oh, he did.
Just,
it's no fun picking against Ryan Tannehill. It's no fun picking against Devlin Hodges either. Let's talk about the Steelers and the Jets this week. What are you looking for?
This is an interesting matchup, right? You got 2 running backs here who are the centerpieces of their team. One who came from the team now to the other team, right? And the Jets have, with the exception of the Ravens game, the Jets have been very stingy to the run. So will James Conner be the kind of impact player that Devlin Hodges needs in order to be able to kind of make everything else work? Especially with Juju Smith-Schuster is going to play, but like we heard, he's playing through injury. So I don't know what to make of this, because you can certainly pass on the Jets.
The Steelers are favored by 3 though. You're making the case why maybe it's close, but what does the model feel on this one?
4. Steelers 21, Jets 17.
Yeah, I feel the same way in this game. I think actually the Steelers could win by a lot more. Sam Darnold has a hard time processing sometimes all the information that he's getting. He holds onto the ball. When you do that against the Steelers, you tend to, fumble the ball. You tend to have turnovers. So I think the Steelers win easily.
Okay, so one that might be kind of an easy one. Browns are hoping to play spoiler in the AFC. They're hosting the top-seeded Ravens, our favorite to watch. Baltimore's favored by 10. What say you?
I say the Ravens win going away. They have all the motivation in the world this week. Their defense is what's really changed the most since they first played in Week 4 when Cleveland won. So I think they win going away, make Baker Mayfield look bad.
We heard a report they're not planning on trading Odell Beckham Jr. Who knows if that's true, but you know what the model says? Ravens 30, Browns 18.
Ooh.
Big point.
All right, let's look at some inactives and actives.
Let's be
for
positive.
Week
Actives
16, we're almost done.
Ronnie Stanley, active.
That's good. Kerryon Johnson for your boys, the Lions. Say they're not done. They're keeping Matt Patricia.
Woof.
Yeah, everyone get fired up. What do you mean woof?
It's not the. Why are you playing Kerryon Johnson? Why?
Nelson Aguilar.
Put him on the shelf. You have nothing to play for. Yeah, Nelson Aguilar. I think Nelson Aguilar plan otherwise. If you are planning on him in fantasy in any ways, make a contingency plan. Go get teammate Greg Ward Jr. That's a good one in my opinion.
All right, coming up next on Game Day View. Oh, there's a little Odell.
Yep.
Maybe he can
not being traded.
Crack 1,000 yards this season a little bit later. We're going to be talking all the big games, including Eagles, Cowboys, right after Odell finishes with this silly little warm-up.
Ooh, what is Lev Bell doing?
He's looking clean.
He's looking like a Steeler.
I love it. I see what you're doing.
He kind of broke up with them, and then now he's wearing their colors.
I'm telling you, though, the hair, the hoodie, it's warm. He feels comfortable.
This
is a revenge game.
Is he trolling them? I'm very confused about this one, but you know what I'm not confused about? Proper performances. Lev Bell, he's going to have more scrimmage yards than James Conner. Why? Well, if you look at the Steelers front, they allow a lot of passes to be caught by opposing running backs. And that's what Lev Bell does. It doesn't happen on the ground for him.
I wasn't feeling it earlier this week. Now I'm feeling it after that sweatshirt and the hair. This is a revenge game.
I don't understand what he's doing there.
No.
All right, I told you before when we were talking about Nelson Aguilar, I said that you should probably go pick up Greg Ward Jr. just in case he doesn't play.
Please.
Why? Well, the model says he's going to have more than 3 receptions.
I buy that. Who else is going to catch passes? Arcega-Whiteside, they don't like throwing it to him.
It's very fun to say, though. JJ Arcega-Whiteside.
It's really where my list pays off, is being able to say that name.
That's
But Ward's been better than Aguilar this year. There's my hot take.
Hot take. You know what's not a hot take? Terry McLaurin having more than 59 receiving yards and a touchdown against, the Giants secondary that allows, the most receptions of 20-plus air yards. And, by the way, no more Janoris Jenkins.
I was thinking about it. Both McLaurin and A.J. Brown are true #1 receivers as rookies. If they were on even better passing teams, they'd have more yards. I love McLaurin. I'm with you.
I like that the people at home can't see it, but you did a cheering hand, fist bump. There we go. Another one, Marlon Mack. Well, he's going to have more than 70 rush yards today. He could be a fantasy winner for you, folks. You need to get him in your lineup. Don't even question it. Don't think twice about it. Marlon Mack versus the Panthers. The Panthers do not stop the run. Marlon Mack, 70 rushing yards, probably like first half maybe.
Colts needed this. They've been on a brutal stretch of tough losses, and now they get the Panthers and their soft rush defense at home. Just
give him a stiff arm,
nice
Marlon.
little Christmas present here for Mack and all the
Marlon.
Colts fans. It's been a tough year.
Ooh, this is a fun combined one. You ready?
Please.
Dak Prescott and Carson Wentz together will combine for more than 474 pass yards.
I hope so. I'm with you. I hope it's an offensive game. I'm worried it'll be a little more defensive, but maybe it'll be fun. The NFC East gives us some entertainment after what's been a rough year.
Who doesn't love fun?
I love fun, and that's why we got to hear more on this game. We've got team coverage. You know what that means? That means that we have Jane Slater and someone else, Mike Garafolo, in Philadelphia. Here's Jane.
All the Cowboys need is one win to get into the playoffs. Now, they haven't won back-to-back division titles since Dak Prescott was 3 years old. And, of course, he's been dealing with that sprained AC joint in his right shoulder. Now, he got some throws in on Friday, and he says he's going to be fine. He says no added protection on that shoulder. He's going to rely on his teammates to keep him clean. That's one storyline, but so is Jason Garrett's job security. We haven't really talked about it much this week because we've been so focused on Dak, but that is still a very real thing. I talked to Randall Cobb in the locker room about Jason Garrett, and I said, what has made him special this season? You guys clearly went out and played hard against the Rams because of him. And he said there is a resilience about Jason Garrett that they haven't been on this roller coaster of emotions with him. He never gets too high. He never gets too low. Win, lose, or draw, he's the same. And that's helped them remain consistent. And these guys say they are playing for their head coach. Now to Mike G.
Thank you, Jane. Well, I can tell you this. The Eagles are not buying the fact that Dak Prescott might not be 100%. In fact, the other day when I talked to the players, coaches, staff members, they all said they are expecting Prescott to play and to be at 100%. So look for them to play their normal defense against the Cowboys. And on the other side of the ball, Miles Sanders, the Eagles' rookie running back, he is a big key in this game. The first time these teams played around, Sanders didn't necessarily hit the hole the right way. There was also a run that he could have had for a long touchdown where Jason Kelce missed a block. Well, now they see the Eagles do a much more confident Sanders. His personality starting to come out. He's making the right reads on the field. It has shown the last couple of weeks with as productive as he has been. He could be the one that helps Carson Wentz lift this team into the postseason with a win over the Cowboys today. Now back to you guys in the studio.
All right, the biggest game on Sunday is in Philadelphia. If the Cowboys win, they take the NFC East, and we're kind of put out of our misery. This has been a rough division here. They'd be out of the race if they weren't in the NFC East. But what are we watching for, Cynthia, in this matchup of 7-7 teams? Why are you laughing?
That's really funny. Like, put us out of our misery.
I mean, come on,
please.
NFC East. Get it together.
It's true. Okay, so in this one, I really want to see what the Eagles' defensive front can do, especially to shake things up a little bit. We've seen them have pressure, bring pressure really well in certain games, and then just disappear in other games. And then the secondary, if you look last game, I rewatched it last night. The Jim Schwartz.
Humble brag.
Brag.
Yeah. Okay.
I rewatched last night. The defense was called in an odd way last week, and then it kind of put them in a deficit. And then, of course, Carson Wentz, who gets better as games go on, it's because he's had to. It's not because he's been put in this great spot, right? Like, so it's going to be interesting to see Eagles defense show up.
I'm confused about the Eagles because when they fix one problem, like Wentz playing well at the end of games, another one pops up. Their defense, who have been playing great,
it's like
really
our
hasn't
producer's
showed
golf
up.
game.
Right. It's like you plug one hole, then you can't start. You hit your driver well, then you start putting poorly. It doesn't matter. I am curious to see if the Eagles' offensive line can just take over the game because this Eagles front on defense hasn't been as good as you would expect considering the investments that they made. Fletcher Cox, I think, kind of made the Pro Bowl maybe off of reputation a little bit more this year than having a dominant season. And so they've needed that Eagles offense to play well. I can only see one of these two teams really winning games in the playoffs, and that's the Cowboys if they really play their best, if their offensive line starts taking over like we saw. So I'm more interested and really almost more rooting for them because I think they could make a more interesting playoff matchup.
How crazy is it that one of these teams gets a home playoff game?
Right, and it probably will be against the NFC West runner-up, so that is going to be a very tough matchup. The Eagles are underdogs in this game.
Underdogs at home.
2.5 points. The Cowboys are favored by. What does the model say?
The model says Eagles 24, Cowboys 23. Don't be underdogs. They're at home. I think it's an interesting one. I think Miles Sanders is a great pick for fantasy. I think Dallas Goedert, I think he gets a touchdown.
I have probably like 15 games to catch up on you for the season. I'm struggling. So I'm going Cowboys in this game. That's really
it's
not
a coin flip.
I think their best game is so much better than the Eagles' best game. So I'm choosing to be optimistic and thinking they're going to get something close to that today and have a little momentum because they're going to need to make the NFC Championship, according to our guy Ian Rappaport, for Jason Garrett to keep his job. I think they get step one today with the
lofty
win.
goals, huh? All right, let's look at Monday night, another big one. The Packers can wrap up the NFC North and take a big step forwards towards a first-round bye with a win, but they're in Minnesota. What are you watching for in this one?
If the Vikings defense can play as a unit and create some problems, you think of the matchups in this game that we're going to see. Some of the linebackers, Eric Kendricks trying to get to the outside and really prevent Aaron Jones from being a factor on the edge or in the passing game. And then especially up front, that's my guy, Everson Griffin. What a season he's had. Danielle Hunter, he could be a Defensive Player of the Year type of nominee, going against one of the best tackle combinations in football. The Packers have had almost no injuries up front all year, so that's a really good matchup. But you've built up this defense for 6 years. I think it's for a game like this.
So first of all, you need to say Harrison Smith because he's like so underrated. You absolutely need to go watch film on him. That's a great safety play. Anyways, but to me in this one,
Christmas morning, just say goodbye to your family.
Christmas morning, say goodbye to your family. Just go watch
Smith.
some Harrison Smith on your Game Pass. You can go buy it at NFL.com. You're great. So ultimately, for me in this one, I want to know the impact of no Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook, then Alexander Mattison, he's banged up too. I'm hearing it's a pretty severe ankle injury, whether he play or not. Is Boone a good option? I'm not playing him in fantasy. I don't want to wait till Monday to see if Boone plays or not. The volume could be there, but you could also be not in a good spot if you had to pivot on some crazy thing on Monday. So for me, I'm curious to see how no Dalvin Cook affects Kirk Cousins, the ability to stabilize the game. You've seen when Kirk Cousins has had to throw the ball too much, that's when turnovers and problems happen. And if you don't have Dalvin Cook, who's an excellent player,
right. I've been impressed that they've been
like
able to
that
run
pause?
the ball.
That
I
was
did,
like a really
and
good
I'm just
pause.
jumping into it. You know, I think Alexander Madison has run the ball well. I think they have Adam
is he
Thielen
playing?
back. We'll see. And
Is
even
he
Mike Boone,
healthy?
when he played at the end last week, played pretty
Yeah.
well. So I'm not as worried as you.
okay, well, Vikings are favored by 4.5. What say you?
I think the Vikings win by a field goal. I think it's a close game. It would be disrespectful to Aaron Rodgers to say he loses in a blowout. But I think Minnesota is going to win this division, and they start it by winning on Monday night.
And then you think the Packers lose one to the Lions?
It's
Got
possible.
it. Okay. I have Packers 24, Vikings 23. The upset in Minnesota.
Couple road upsets for you this
Yeah, that's
week.
what I'm talking about.
All right, let's go to Chiefs and Bears. Next up, just picks. What is the model thinking?
Just picks.
Yeah, I mean, let's just go right to it. It's Chiefs Bears. Do we really trust the Bears to keep this close?
Okay, look, Kansas City favored by 5.5 points on the road. Model says Chiefs 26, Bears 19. That's 7 points. Do the math.
I like the Chiefs, maybe even by more than 7, by 12.
All
by
it has to be is more than
14.
5.5.
Right, Patrick Mahomes in the snow is just one of the most dangerous options. It might not be snowy there, but in cold weather, this Chiefs offense, I think, is playing better right now than they have all season.
Okay, well, the Seahawks are hosting the NFC West divisional foe, Cardinals, in the battle of the quarterbacks who are not the tallest.
Right. It's our show. It's Kyler Murray.
It's our show.
We miss Hawk, but
we miss Hawk.
Representing for the short people. I think the Cardinals keep this close. I think Kyler Murray's playing too well.
Okay, well, Seahawks are favored by 9.5.
I think the Seahawks win, but I think the Cardinals keep it close, where it's another last possession Seahawks game at home, which every single Seahawks game all season has been.
Battle of two short quarterbacks, battle of us in terms of picks. We're on the same side. Seahawks 29, Cardinals 20 is what the model says.
All right, let's look at some more picks. We agree for the most part, but the big
Bengals and
disagreement
Dolphins?
here is Bengals.
Huge
Dolphins.
disagreement.
I feel good about this one. I honestly, this is one of my, my
Locks.
proper performance of the week. It's going to be Andy Dalton having a big night.
No way, Fitzmagic. I think it's Devontae Parker all the way.
We
all
are
day.
in full agreement that the Broncos, Chargers, and Falcons. No love for Minshew Mania. Big win by the Falcons for you. Wow.
Big win by the Falcons. No love for Minshew Mania. Exactly. All right, so when we come back, we're going to see a little bit more about, Cam Jordan. Love it. We're going to talk a little bit more about all of the rest of the remaining games. We've come so far. Don't leave. Isn't that what hockey just says? You've come this far. Don't leave now. So, Greg, do you know who this is? That's Jamie Gillan, a.k.a. the Scottish Hammer, and he's here. He's a Brown.
Anytime you can say the word Scottish Hammer.
I like that he went with, like, the no undershirt. It's got to be cold, right?
He's got a certain level of confidence to be willing to withstand whatever grief he's taking from his teammates.
Totally. I went to BC. People wore a lot of kilts at BC. It was a thing. Anyways, you ready to get to some scores in more or less? So we're going to look at a few games, and we're going to tell you whether the totals in this game are going to be more or less. You ready?
Please.
You ready? Okay. Chargers and Raiders. That's who they're playing. More or less than 46 points here in Los Angeles.
I'm going more. And this is rare. I think I know the answer. The correct answer is less, apparently.
45? I mean, I have 45.
I like a little offense in this game. This Raiders defense, this Chargers defense not playing well.
Okay, so DeAndre Washington could be your nice little substitute if you're looking for one for Derrick Henry in this game. It's not a great one because the Chargers are good against the run, but it is a better one than some other alternatives. Cardinals and Seahawks, more or less than 51 points.
Once again, I vote for fun. Oh.
I know both teams have really banged up defenses and really interesting defenses, but I actually have less, 49 points. That happens in 58.1% of the simulations. I think a run game, both teams' ability to run the ball will slow it down.
I look at two
Keeping that
defensive
pace low.
backfields that are struggling a little bit, so.
Keep that pace low. Keep that pace low. Okay, finally on Monday night, Packers and Vikings, more or less than 45 points.
Now, if I disagree again, Cynthia will actually have me removed from Week 17 show. Okay,
exactly.
good. There we go.
47 points. That happens in 56.4% of the simulations. For me, I think this is going to be a fun one that comes down to a last possession.
I'm going to miss these more or less when they go away
you know
for
what?
the season. You know what else I'm going to miss?
For the holidays, I got you them.
It's going to be fantasy questions. Let's go to our tweets asking the expert, Cynthia Freeland.
Ugh.
With Madison likely out, who do I start in my flex? A.J. Brown, Amari Cooper,
100% A.J.
or Boone?
Brown, and don't even think twice. 100% A.J. Brown.
Love
100%.
that. No love for Cooper. Okay, I'm
Nope,
with you.
no love for Cooper.
All right,
I mean, yes,
Keenan
but not in this
Allen
situation.
or Devontae Parker for the fantasy Super Bowl.
You could go either way. I think Keenan Allen's a little bit safer floor, but Devontae Parker has the bigger ceiling.
I'm liking Parker.
I
was
would go-
doing
I go for ceilings
I was
'cause I
getting
like
paid
fun.
full time in fantasy while Cynthia was in diapers. Let's do one more here. Give me a break. Kenny Galladay or Greg Ward? What a question for your
Wow,
fantasy
that's
championship.
a tough one. Honestly, I might go Ward. Galladay is very risky with David blah blah at quarterback.
All right, finally today, let's tell viewers what we'll be tweeting after our Week 16 in our Monday morning timeline. It's the final
The final edition.
of Week 16.
Well, yeah.
Let's go.
I mean-
Let's fly it up here.
Okay, so we've been talking about it, and you actually teased this, super tease in the beginning of the show. This is Lamar in Week 17. He's got his sunglasses on.
chilling.
He's on the sideline. He's happy. He's dancing. He had a great Week 16 performance, and now he's on the shelf for 17.
I love those sunglasses. They're very like 1980s dad, which you wouldn't expect out of
You got to
Lamar.
bringing back the 1980s dad look.
I love it. It's like the aviators. It's beautiful. All right, let's look at my Monday morning tabs have been on fire. This one can't be wrong either. Cowboys
This one can't
owner
be wrong either.
Jerry Jones has re-signed Cowboys general manager Jerry Jones to a lifetime contract. You know they're gonna get if they win this game, they're gonna get way too excited. The Cowboys. They're gonna think they're going to the Super Bowl. That's just what the Cowboys do.
I mean, there's a good chance that if it's somehow the Cowboys that they win that the first week game, the wild card game. That's the way football works. The model won't project that. That is the model breaker in my gut, you know?
The model breaker in your gut is always accurate.
A lot of cookies in here, too.
To see if it's accurate next week, you can come back next Sunday. We'll be back. 11:30
1 week from today.
a.m.
Be here.
Eastern. That's it for us today. We'll get you set next week for your final week of the regular season. Fantasy League One is coming up next right here on NFL.com. See ya.